So let's start. A very warm welcome to all of you. A very warm good evening to all the people who are in the Indian time zone, and good mornings and good afternoons to the other respective time zones. Okay, so to start with today's session. So today's session is about ISO 27001:2022. I'm sure all of you are aware of the fact it is ISO 27001:2022 now, and it was revised and published as late as October 2022. Even though the talks have been on since February 2022, because that was the time when the another standard from the family 27002 was revised to 2022, but there were a little bit doubt what will happen to 27001, what kind of amendment will it come, will 2013 continue with some amendment, or would there be a total revamp of the standard. So finally, in the last week of October, ISO body has declared it that they have published ISO 27001 2022, which means ISO 27001 2013 has been withdrawn. So in today's session, we are going to look into the changes that have happened and the way the changes are going to impact us as organizations as well as professionals. Today we are going to very briefly look into the history of ISO 27001. Then we would be discussing at a very broad level some updates which have happened to 27001:13, and we will have a review of 27001:2022. Along with this, we will discuss the requirements for organizations and the roadmaps for recertification, and we will also look into the certification of the professionals like you who either would have got themselves certified as lead auditor earlier on 27001:13, or maybe planning to go for the lead auditor certification or lead implementer certification. So, moving on, just look at the brief history of ISO 27001. As we all know, ISO 27001 is the Information Security Management System. Now, ISO indicates that this standard has been published by the ISO organization, which is the International Organization for Standardization. But the standard itself has roots way back in 1990 when it was developed by the government of UK, their standardization body, and it was a British standard. That time the British standard was given the number 7799, and it was a code of practice. So the publication department was UK Department of Trade and Industry, and it was meant to be adopted by people across industries. It was not specific to any industry. Everybody, whether a small enterprise or a large enterprise, was feeling the need of having a control on the security of information. That was the basis of developing this standard. So in 1995, the same body did some more work, got more inputs, and revised it to BS 7799 Part 1, again as a code of practice. As you would be knowing that every international standard has a system of getting reviewed every 5 years. So 1990 it was first published, 1995 it was reviewed and republished. Now, why it was republished as part 1? Because the body understood that there is a need to develop a supporting standard as well as a guideline. So they first came up with the code of practice. Later on, they converted it to BS 7799 Part 2 Information Security Specification. Now, this standard was in addition to Part 1, and both put together were covering the Information Security Management System requirements. Later on, by the year 2000, this became so popular that there was a global demand. As such, ISO and IEC both picked it up, and they republished it as 17799, and the name of the standard given was Information Security Management System Code of Practice. After 5 years, it was again revised, and this time it was renamed as ISO IEC 27001 Information Security Management System Requirements. Now, under ISO terminology, any standard which is a requirement standard, it means that this is a standard against which an organization can get certified, and this is a standard against which people like you and me can go for personal certification as lead auditors, lead implementers. In the year 2007, further work was done by ISO, and this time they came out with an additional standard 27006. Now, this 27006 was not meant for the corporates or the organizations, but it was meant for the certification bodies. So now ISO realized that to do the assessment of any organization's information security management system, the certification bodies also shall fulfill certain basic requirements. So to ensure that the certification bodies do have qualified people, they do follow the proper systems, ISO 27006 got published. And ever since, every certification body, whether it is TUBISOD or BSI or PECB or SGS across the globe, whatsoever may be the certification body, they have to fulfill the requirements of 27006 if they want accreditation to do the assessments of 27001. Then during the period 2008 to 2012, many other standards within the information security families were developed and published. These were some industry specific standards over and above 27001. So these were the additional guidelines. So on these standards, no organization can get itself certified. But yes, they provide a lot of guidance on implementation, especially looking into the industry specific requirements. In the year 2013, ISO 27001 and its guidance standard ISO 27002 were revised and published as a second edition. Now, as per the uh, norm of the ISO, as I said earlier also, once a standard is published, a review after 5 years is a must. So accordingly, the 2013 standard came up for a review in the year 2018, and after a lot of deliberations, somewhere mid 2019, the committee took a decision that ISO 27001 2013 was good enough to fulfill the purpose of the industry at that point of time. But as we all know, after 2019 came 2020, and then everything changed due to the pandemic situation, due to the working environment situation. There were so many changes which were happening, which pose a direct threat to the information security for the organizations, for the corporates, for the people. So that is again the committee decided, a proposal was taken in to do another review. So between 2019 and 2022, there were a lot of deliberations. In the month of February, in the month of February, the standard 27002 was revised, and in the month of October, in the month of October, 27001 got revised. The name of the standard is Information Technology Security Techniques Information Security Management System Requirements. Because the word requirements is appended in the standard's name, that means it is a certifiable standard. And when it's a certifiable standard, as I said earlier, any organization across any industry sector can implement ISMS, fulfill the requirements of ISO 27001, and can approach any of the certification bodies of its choice to get itself assessed and certified. And because it is a requirement standard, people like you and me can also undergo training programs as per the guidelines given by the certification bodies, and they can get themselves certified as professionals, either as lead auditors or as lead implementers or both. So this standard was published in November 2013. As I said earlier, it was reviewed in 2019, continued as valid, but later on there was a decision to revise it. As such, it has been withdrawn in October 2022 and a new standard has come up. Now, in that standard, most of you would be knowing the standard had clauses 4 to 10 as implementable clauses. So, 7 clauses were there. Clause number 4, context of the organization. Clause number 5, leadership. Clause number 6, planning. Clause number 7, support. Clause number 8, operations. Clause number 9, performance evaluation. And clause number 10, improvement. Now, one thing which keeps ISO 27001 apart from the other ISO standard is that in this standard there is an annexure A. And usually other standards, when they have got an annexure, those annexures are guidelines. But here in ISO 27001, annexure A was also full of requirements. So this annexure A had 14 clauses. All were shell clauses. That means all were mandatory clauses. Under these clauses, the body had come out with 35 information security objectives. And to fulfill those objectives, the organizations were required to look into 114 controls. And based on the organization's risk assessment output, organizations were required to produce a statement of applicability by selecting the controls out of these 114 with due justification being given why a control is applicable to that corporate or organization or why the control is not applicable. And this is a mandatory requirement for ISO 27001. Now we come to the ISO 27001 2022. So this is now renamed. The new name of the standard is Information Security, Cybersecurity, and Privacy Protection, Information Security Management Systems Requirements. So that means it still remains a requirement standard, but now apart from the security techniques, it has got a wider coverage, getting into cybersecurity as well as privacy protection. This version has been published in October 2022. So as such, it will remain there and its review will be due after 5 years, which would be somewhere around October 2027. Like the previous standard, this standard also has got the similar structure, as in it has got the all clause 4 to 10, 7 clauses as were there earlier, where clause 4 remains context of the organization, clause 5 remains leadership, 6 is planning, 7 is support, 8 is operations, 9 is performance evaluation, and clause 10 is improvement. However, within the sub clauses, some descriptions, there have been some minor changes to make the clauses more simple and better and easily understandable so that there is no ambiguity when it comes to interpret the clauses. Those are the only minor changes that have been done. Like the previous one, this also has got annexure A, but this annexure A is much more well structured. Instead of previous 14 clauses, now the body has converted into only 4 categories. Instead of 114 controls put together, there are only 93 controls. As per the earlier requirement, the same requirement of producing a statement of applicability continues. That means every organization which is implementing ISMS and is desirous of getting itself certified, they have to look into all these 93 controls, compare them with their risk assessment outputs, and identify which controls can be used as risk treatment options. So, statement of applicability will define which control is applicable to the organization, which control is not applicable to the organization, and for both the scenarios, whether applicable or not applicable, organizations have to document their justifications. So, very quickly, let's have a glance. What's new in the ISO 27001 2022? So these control groups now have been reduced to 4 from 14. So these 4 categories I was talking about, these are organizational controls, people controls, physical controls, and technological controls. So in all, there are 93 controls. Now, this does not mean that the earlier 114 controls have been done away with. Some of the controls have been merged and a new control has been published. There are some new controls also, and there is some restructuring. So when we talk about the new controls, because as you would have seen in the previous slide, it does include cyber security and privacy protection. So in all, there have been 11 new controls which have been added to the previous 114, and those 114 have been restructured and reduced to lesser number of controls. So in the new structure and form, these 11 new controls belong to organizational, physical, and the technical. Three new controls have come into organizational, one has come into physical controls, and 7 have been included in the technical controls. So now the first question which comes to our mind is, who gets impacted with this change? All the organizations are already certified as meeting the requirements of ISO 27001 2013, who have either implemented ISMS as per the requirements of 27001 2013, and who are planning to get themselves certified in near future, they are also going to get impacted. And the organizations who are planning to implement ISMS and get certified in near future, but they are yet to start the work, they will also get certified. Even the professionals, certified lead auditors to 27001 2013, lead implementers ISO 27001 2013 as on date, they will also have some impact. Impact first on the organization. So first of all, there is no immediate impact. That means there is no reason for any kind of worry. As per the ISO guidelines and the publication, all such existing certified organization shall need to adopt and make amendments to their existing ISMS so as to eventually meet the requirements of ISO 27001 2022. But there is no such pressure to do it overnight or immediately. So they have to get themselves certified standard latest by October 2025. So 3 years period is there for the organizations which have got their existing certificates on ISO 27001, and once they have made the amendment, special separately. As per the ISO assessment systems, every year the organization has to go through a surveillance audit, or after the 3 year periods research. So during those already scheduled surveillance or recertification audits, the organizations can showcase their and get their certificates upgraded to ISO 27001 2022. Organizations who have implemented or process of implement and they had chosen ISO 27001 or the standard has been upgraded, they were planning to get certified. Also, there is a special provision. Overnight, they need not make any changes. They can implementation project and they can apply for a certification 2013 till October 2023. So 1 year period is there. Organization can apply for a 2013 certificate and in 2025 they will have to upgrade. So they have been given a grace period of 1 year up to October 2023. They can approach a certification body and submit a request that instead of certified on 27,001 2030. But eventually, every other organization, they will have to upgrade their systems and on the 2022 standard also. So again, there will be no need to have a separate time up to 23 on 2013 would be assessed during the scheduled surveillance and re- organizations which were planning to implement ISMS and get certified. So on that, no impact. Yet they have timelines and their ISMS is yet to be implemented. So now the organizations which were planning to implement ISMS, they had taken the target of year 2023 to implement and get certified. On those organizations, there will be no impact because their ISMS is yet to be implemented. And still they have got a choice. Either they can go for fulfilling the requirements of ISO 27022 straightforward and get themselves certified on that, or if they wish, they can first adopt 27001 2013 and eventually make amendments in the upcoming 2 years. Now, impact on the professionals like you and me. We are all, as on date, certified lead auditors on 27001 2013 or certified lean implementers on ISO 27001 2013. Again, there is no matter of worry here because there is no immediate impact on our certification. The ISO body has given the time period to the organizations to upgrade to the new standard by October 2025. As such, we also remain valid certified professionals as lead auditors and lead implementers on ISO 27001 2013 up till the time of October 2025. So all our current certification will remain valid till that time. Whereas after that, after October 2025, we will need to get ourselves certified or recertified as lead auditor or lead implementer ISO 27001 2022. Now, another question usually people look into is what would be the new certification course for those who are already certified auditors? Will it be again a 5 day certification course or it will be shorter? Now, this is a question which certification bodies are already deliberating on and they are yet to give a confirmation. So they are making an assessment what would be the best course, either to do a bridge course for 2 days or something like that and take an exam, or better still, go for an entire 5 day certification course along with the exam. So we will keep the updates on our various social channels and the websites as and when this information is confirmed. Now, let us look into the new controls. So, as I said, there are 11 new controls. Other controls are more or less known to the people. So, what is new is what we are going to look at a glance. So, there is a control which talks about requirements for threat intelligence. Another control is information security for the use of cloud services. One more control is there on ICT readiness for business continuity. ICT stands for Information and Communication Technology. Then there is a control which has been introduced for physical security monitoring. Another control has been introduced for configuration management. Keeping the privacy in mind, information deletion, data masking, data leakage prevention, monitoring activities have also been introduced as new controls. And then for safeguarding the organizations in the current environment of cybersecurity, web filtering and secure coding has also been introduced. Right? So we will have a very quick look at each of these 11 controls. First control is threat intelligence. Here, this control, the attributes given as per the new standards are this control could be preventive, detective, and or corrective control. The control says information relating to information security threats should be collected and analyzed to produce threat intelligence. So this is a control which will ensure that the organizations develop a proactive approach. They are aware of the threat environment, so they need to develop this threat intelligence. So as such, the purpose is very clear: to provide awareness of the organization's threat environment so that proactively appropriate mitigation actions can be taken. Control is again organizational control which has been introduced. It is ICT readiness for business continuity. That means how the support of information and communication technology should be ready for supporting the organizations in their business continuity. So this is a corrective control because this will come into picture in case of a disruption to the business. So control says ICT readiness should be planned, implemented, maintained, and tested based on organizations' business continuity objectives and ICT continuity requirements. Purpose is very clear: to ensure the availability of the organization's information and other associated assets during disruption. This disruption could be due to any reason, could be a natural disaster, could be pandemic, could be a cyber attack, or any other threat factor. Then there is a control on physical security monitoring. So this is both preventive and detective type control. Control says premises should be continuously monitored for unauthorized physical access. So the purpose is to detect and deter unauthorized physical access. Rest of the controls which are new are the technical controls. So first control which has been introduced is on the configuration management. Again, the attribute given to this control is preventive. As per the control, configurations, including security configurations, whether of hardware or of software or of services, even including networks, should be established. Configurations should be documented, implemented, monitored, and reviewed. And the purpose is to ensure hardware, software, services, and networks will function correctly with the required security settings. And the most important aspect to be taken care of is configuration is not altered by any unauthorized, or there are no incorrect changes. Next control is on the information deletion. Again, this control has got an attribute of being a preventive control. According to this, the information stored in our information systems, devices, or in any other storage media should be deleted when no longer required. As an organization, we end up collecting a lot of information, a lot of data. Some of this data could be considered as a privacy data. So this information should be deleted when no longer required, when the purpose of collecting, storing, and processing that information is over. The purpose is very clear and simple: to prevent unnecessary exposure of sensitive information and also to comply with the legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements for information deletion. Privacy, as you know, has now become part of the legislation across the globe in most of the countries, including India. Next control is data masking. Again, it's a preventive control. So data masking should be used in accordance with the organization's topic specific policy on access control and other related topic specific policies and business requirements, also taking applicable legislations into consideration. Purpose of introducing this control is to limit the exposure of sensitive data, including PII, personally identifiable information, and also to comply with legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements. Next control is on the data leakage prevention. Again, it's a preventive as well as detective control. Those are the attributes for data leakage prevention. Data leakage prevention measures should be applied to systems, to networks, and to any other devices which are used or involved to process, store, or transmit sensitive information. Purpose is crystal clear: to detect and to prevent the unauthorized disclosure and extraction of information by individuals or systems. Next control, again a technical control which has been added, which was not there earlier, is monitoring activities. It's again a detective and a corrective type control. Now, this control says networks, systems, and applications should be monitored for anomalous behavior and appropriate actions taken to evaluate potential information security incidents. So, here it is talking about potential information security incident. That means you should have the capability to detect if anything may go wrong, if any potential information security incident may happen. So that is why this control is named as monitoring activities. The purpose is to detect anomalous behavior and potential information security incidents. So next control is web filtering. It is related to cyber security. It is having an attribute as a preventive control. Control says access to external websites should be managed to reduce exposure to malicious content. Now, access to external website might be an organization's business requirement. So it is not prohibiting the access to external websites. All this control is guiding is or requiring is that such an access to external website should be managed in a manner that it reduces the exposure to malicious content. So the purpose is to protect our systems from being compromised by malware and to prevent access to unauthorized web resources. And the last control, which is a new control, is secure coding. Again, it's a preventive type control. It simply says secure coding principles should be applied to software development. So any organization which is involved in software development, they would be required to implement this control. Other organizations which are acquiring the software and they are not developing this software, in their statement of applicability, they can justify that this control is not applicable to them. Purpose is to ensure software is written securely, thereby reducing the number of potential information security vulnerabilities in the software. Okay, thank you everyone.